We don't need them.
We just don't need their product. And yet they survive off the fact that we do 95% of.
America turned down a staggering $350 billion from South Korea. And now the U.S. is trembling under the consequences. Jobs are vanishing, and the cost of that reckless arrogance is crushing the nation. What looked like confidence has erupted into a brutal economic nightmare, leaving the U.S. desperate and scrambling to recover.
South Korea's president warning of potentially devastating effects tied to the country's trade deal with the U.S.
The United States made a decision that's already starting to cost it dearly. In 2025, it turned down a massive $350 billion investment from South Korea. A move that seemed bold at first, but now looks like a strategic misstep. The U.S. claimed it didn't need the money. Yet that same decision is now slowing growth in critical industries. Semiconductors are lagging, shipyards are quiet, and energy projects are struggling to keep pace. American jobs, innovation, and the energy transition are all at stake, leaving the country to pay the price for a gamble that backfired.
His country's economy could fall into crisis like the one it faced in 1997 if it were forced to take $350 billion and invest that amount of cash in the U.S. without a currency swap. He said the U.S. and Korea haven't formalized a trade deal reached in July because of disagreements.
The sheer scale of the deal was staggering. South Korea had pledged billions across sectors that could have redefined America's industrial landscape. Samsung and SK Hynix were ready to pour $200 billion into U.S. chip manufacturing, boosting domestic production and reducing reliance on foreign supply chains. Hyundai and Samsung plan to invest $150 billion into U.S. shipbuilding, transferring hydrogen-powered vessel technology. Another $100 billion was earmarked for energy and green tech, all projects that could have accelerated America's clean energy goals. Beyond that, AI, robotics, biotechnology, and aerospace expansions were planned, with Hyundai growing EV and robotics plants and Korean Air partnering with U.S. supply chains. Every sector represented jobs, technological advancement, and global competitiveness.
His country's economy could fall into crisis like the one it faced in 1997 if it were forced to take $350 billion and invest that amount of cash in the U.S. without a currency swap. He said the U.S. and Korea haven't formalized a trade deal reached in July because of disagreements.
Basically, this is revoking waivers that they previously had, to bring in chip equipment to the country?
Yet, the U.S. approach sent conflicting messages from the start. Officials publicly demanded massive investments in exchange for lower tariffs, while others quietly suggested America didn't really need the funds. This mixed messaging planted doubt among South Korean conglomerates. They were willing to invest, but uncertainty was growing like a shadow over the projects. For companies planning multi-billion-dollar expansions, confidence and clarity are everything. Without them, billions don't just pause, they leave.
South Korea says it is unable to pay $350 billion up front to the U.S. under a tariff deal proposed by Donald Trump. The country is now looking for an alternative.
Regulatory hurdles, visa restrictions, and the threat of new tariffs and anti-dumping measures made executing these plans far more difficult than anticipated. Projects meant to inject life into American industries face delays and, in some cases, outright cancellations. Samsung and SK Hynix's semiconductor plans for Texas slowed. Hyundai's advanced shipbuilding projects stalled. Energy infrastructure investments moved at a glacial pace. Even more striking is the ripple effect on future foreign investment. When investors see instability and contradictory policy signals, they hesitate, redirect, or abandon plans altogether. South Korea isn't the only country reconsidering America. The warning extends to the entire global business community.
Based on this agreement and understanding and discussions with the government, that is being revoked now. And
this isn't just abstract numbers, it's tangible losses. Engineers waiting to work on semiconductor lines, shipbuilders expecting to launch hydrogen-powered vessels, and technicians poised to assemble clean energy systems are now in limbo. Entire regions counting on these projects for economic revitalization face uncertainty. The irony is almost painful. The U.S. claimed it didn't need the capital, but its industries are now struggling without it.
Despite worries from Korean officials that that could destabilize their own economy. But Trump gave no indication of the details of the agreement.
The stakes were never small. Semiconductors are at the heart of modern technology, from smartphones to defense systems, and South Korea's $200 billion could have made America self-sufficient. Shipbuilding is vital for commerce and military readiness, and $150 billion in technology transfer could have revitalized U.S. shipyards. The energy sector, with $100 billion aimed at cleaner infrastructure, was poised to accelerate a sustainable future. Every delay, hesitation, or canceled project represents lost momentum for industries America can't afford to fall behind in.
Without a clear line of sight to them being revoked, so that's imports from the EU, from India, from Japan, from South Korea, from other nations.
The psychological impact is even more alarming. When South Korea hesitates, it signals to other countries that America may backtrack on commitments or complicate projects with regulations. The chilling effect is spreading. Every delayed semiconductor fab, postponed shipbuilding facility, and slowed energy project is a visible reminder of what happens when political decisions clash with economic reality. The country that once projected strength through industrial demand now pays for overconfidence and indecision.
But one thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations.
This is more than just about money. It's about trust, credibility, and the ability to act decisively in a globalized economy. South Korea came ready to invest massive sums in projects that could have reshaped America's future, but mixed signals and bureaucratic hurdles turned opportunity into caution. The irony is stark. The U.S. said it didn't need the investments, but it desperately does. Every sector that was supposed to grow under this influx is now slowing, and the consequences are just beginning to unfold.
Mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly stupidity. They've allowed other nations to take advantage of the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore.
The reason is as absurd as it sounds. The fallout from turning down $350 billion isn't just a spreadsheet problem, it's a full-blown industrial headache. Semiconductors, for example. Samsung and SK Hynix were ready to pump $200 billion into U.S. chip production, building facilities that could give America some independence from overseas suppliers. But now, the Texas foundry is quiet, with engineers waiting for work that may not start soon. Every stalled wafer slows the tech we rely on daily, from phones to defense systems. Timing in tech is everything.
Deny to foreign chip manufacturers a benefit that really wasn't extended to American chip manufacturers.
Over in shipbuilding, Hyundai and Samsung's plans to revamp American shipyards with hydrogen-powered vessels have stalled. Docks are quiet, cranes idle, and shipbuilders are twiddling wrenches. A project that could have made the U.S. a maritime powerhouse is now a symbol of stalled ambition. Delays here ripple across military, readiness, commercial shipping, and energy logistics. Other sectors, AI, robotics, EVs, aerospace, are feeling the chill. Hyundai's robot plants and EV expansions are paused, and Korean Air's aerospace partnerships aren't taking off either. Workers, engineers, and communities that were counting on these investments are in limbo, caught in industrial purgatory. This was supposed to be a golden opportunity for U.S. innovation. Now it's a reminder of what happens when policy wobbles.
I think by the time we're having this conversation 3 months from now, talking about the next quarter's earnings, we're in the thick of earnings season, we're going to see consumers having felt more impact, and we're going to see companies reporting what the impact on that in terms of some reduced sales for consumer-facing companies.
The economic fallout is brutal. Missed investment slows growth across key sectors, directly hitting the workforce. Jobs are delayed, contracts put on hold, and U.S. competitiveness erodes. Analysts warn that if this continues, America risks losing leadership in semiconductors, shipbuilding, and energy. Meanwhile, billions quietly redirect to Europe and Asia. Every day the U.S. hesitates, the gap widens, and the world notices. Global implications are serious as allies are watching closely. If America can't honor agreements, why should anyone trust the next deal? Technology leadership in semiconductors, green energy, and shipbuilding is at risk. Competitors gain momentum in AI, renewable energy, advanced manufacturing. The shift is subtle but significant, and America isn't the only player anymore.
Well, in some sectors, they're feeling the impact already, because we do know that some consumer goods categories actually put up their prices preemptively, anticipating that some level of tariff was going to sink in.
From Texas boardrooms to shipyards, from green energy sites to semiconductor fabs, the lesson is clear. Mixed signals and hesitation cost billions, jobs, and credibility. Overconfidence has consequences. The clock is ticking, and every day of delay writes a new page in the story of what could have been. A story where billions could have flowed, industries could have thrived, and America could have cemented global leadership.
President Trump now confirming that that won't be happening during this trip, Hannah.
The biggest lesson is painfully obvious. Clarity matters. Predictable policies are priceless. Instead, investors were caught between "we need you" and "maybe not." South Korea had capital, expertise, and willingness to invest in semiconductors, shipyards, energy, AI, and robotics. All of it could have turbocharged U.S. industries, created thousands of jobs, and strengthened supply chains. Hesitation and contradictory messaging turned opportunity into a cautionary tale. The stakes go beyond numbers. $350 billion delayed or lost, slowed growth, slipping competitiveness. American families, workers, and innovators are paying for decisions in Washington. Would you trust a country that says it doesn't need your money, then watches it walk away? The real suspense lies ahead. Will the U.S. act to reclaim this lost opportunity, or will it watch competitors seize the lead? Time isn't on America's side, and the clock on this opportunity is ticking faster than anyone expected.